Hello everybody, how are you? Hey! I'm going to tell you about a gift I received. Doesn't look like much, I want to show it to you. It was a $20 bill. What made this an unusual gift is, number one, I didn't receive it. Number two, it was given to us by somebody we barely knew. And number three, I didn't even know it was a gift until I was an adult and I thought about this story, so I thought I'd share it with you tonight. My dad died when I was 8 years old, and one of the things that nobody thinks about is that the entire family has to adapt to just one parent. Anybody who comes from a single-parent family, you know what I'm talking about. So you have to do jobs that don't normally get done by kids your age. And when I was 8 years old, I became the person in charge of doing the shopping, because my mother didn't even know how to drive a car. So she would write a list on the back of an envelope and give it to me, and I would shop for the family groceries. She taught me how to write a check. She would sign the check and give me the check. I'd shove it in my pocket, and I'd walk to Bornhoffen's Meats and Grocers down the street with one of those wire granny things, exactly. In fact, it was the worst thing if the list was more than 10 items long. It meant I had to carry the cart, which really made me nervous because I thought I might run into somebody I know. But one thing worse than that was sometimes the list would, well, every time the list would include 2 packs of Chesterfield Kings. When I was a kid, all you had to have was a note from your mother saying you could buy cigarettes and you could buy a cigarette. So I would buy the 2 packs of Chesterfield Kings. That was kind of tough, but what was even tougher was when she said 1 pair, beige or taupe, legs, pantyhose, no seam. In fact, when I got married, I said to my wife, I'll buy anything you want but pantyhose. She said, okay, and then later she put down another feminine product, which once a month every one of you may need. And she said, well, why will you buy those and not pantyhose? I said, because I can't use tampons. I can use pantyhose. So I always would worry about that. So I'd walk down the street with this cart and everything else. Now, this $20 bill that I showed you, nowadays we throw it down for this, we throw it down for a tip. 20 bucks isn't much. But to put it in perspective, in 1967, it would buy 4 tanks of gasoline. Okay. 100 pounds of potatoes. 1,000 cigarettes. 2,000 sticks of gum. 20 bucks was a lot of money. And one day, my mother sent me to the store, and she said, write the check for $20 over the amount and bring it home. So I went to the store and I did the shopping, I wrote the check, I wrote down the amount, came home. She said, where's the change? I reached in my pocket and there was no $20 bill in my pocket. So we're looking around through all the groceries, through all my pockets, and we can't find the $20. And she didn't panic. To her credit, she didn't yell at me or anything. She just sort of had that crazed look on her face saying, are you sure you got $20? I said, yeah. Did you stop anywhere? Did you buy anything else? And I'm like, no, I didn't, I swear. She sent me back out, and I walked down the street back and forth between the store and my house. And of course, we never did find it. She called the store and asked, did anybody find a $20 bill? What do you think the answer to that question? Of course, nobody had found a $20 bill. So it was a very unpleasant evening at our house that night. We were just all sitting around, and it was just kind of a pall over the whole house. Until the doorbell rang about 7:30, and Frank Bornhoffen is at the door. Now, Frank Bornhoffen owned Bornhoffen's Meats. He had gone to grammar school with my mother. My Aunt Jill had a crush on him. He was part of the neighborhood, but I really didn't know him at all. And he comes up to the front door and he says to my mom, We found the $20 bill while we were sweeping up. And here's the $20 bill. She hands it over to my mother. He hands it over to my mom, and she gives him a hug. And it was kind of an uncomfortable hug for me to watch, because she held him way too long. And I was wondering exactly what was going on here. And I didn't think much about that story until I was telling it later when I was an adult. And at that moment, it occurred to me for the first time, he didn't find any $20 bill. This was a good Samaritan who reached into his own pocket and saw somebody else who needed the money more than he did. And he handed it over to my mom when we needed it the most. So on a night like this, I hope you raise your glasses in a toast to my good friend Frank Bornhoff, and I don't even know if he's still alive. But please give a toast to Frank.